Good morning, everyone. Good morning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mayette Gonzalez. I'm a Rural Veteran Career Advisor with the Texas Veterans Commission Employment Services. As a Rural Veteran Career Advisor, my goal is not only to provide services for veterans under employment, it is also to assist employers. Our assistance can come in many different ways, such as job fairs, workshops, and as you guessed it, summits. We are glad to have you here today at our second Central Texas Entrepreneurial Summit. Rural communities face many challenges, such as growing small businesses. To assist us in those challenges, we have resources on the first floor. Please take this time to network, get contact information, ask questions, take pictures, tag us on your social media, and help us market our events so that we can continue hosting future events. Today, we are honored to have an exceptional panel and a one-of-a-kind guest speaker. Before we begin, I would like to invite Mayor Herb Pierce to open the event.
Thank you guys for being here this morning and welcome to the second summit here in Lampasas, and we're thankful that you guys are here. This is certainly an item that is near and dear to my heart, as I've been in business for almost over 45 years now in several businesses, so it is a passion of mine, and I love it, and I just welcome the opportunity to be here amongst these other panelists, and so thank you guys for being here this morning.
Thank you, sir. This morning, our panel consists of Mayor Herb Pierce from BHR Timber Products, Douglas Ingrafia, Western Avenue Dogs, Ms. Pamela, Ezekiel, Lotus Beauty Spa and Salon. And as you can see, we're still waiting for Mr. Brett Mark. But to begin our panel members, to begin our questions this morning, if we could start with Mayor Pierce. In 3 minutes, can you give us a potted history as to your background and how you ended up where you're at?
Okay. Back in 1979, I went to Texas Tech on a football scholarship, and evidently that entrepreneurial dream was inside my heart even at that time, my junior year. It was kind of interesting because our campus students, they all dry cleaned their clothes and starched and pressed, and so I thought, we need a campus pickup and delivery. So at the same time I was going to school and trying to be an athlete and everything, I started my first venture called it Campus Laundry. It was probably one of my better ideas that I've ever done. And went across the street to another laundry and said, hey, I will bring you all the laundry and you do this, and we cut a deal for 50%, which was, I thought, a great deal. The first week we made, I think, $3,000 back on the early 80s, which I thought was great. But the only problem was I couldn't keep up with the clothes. We were running an old van, running around. At that time, there was a student body of over 30,000 people, so I was seeing this big picture. And so, anyway, that was a great lesson. It didn't last but maybe a couple of months, and I was overworked, and we got turned into the Better Business Bureau. I mean, it just turned into be a big disaster. We weren't keeping. And at the same time, prior to that, I thought, I'm going to start a battery company. And everybody needs a battery. And so we were doing this battery campus laundry business out of the same bin. Guess what? Batteries and clothes don't go together. So I needed one of these types of deals where somebody could come along and mentor me and say, hey, time out, let's think through this a little bit. So, and I think sometimes with our great ideals, at least mine anyway, if I would have just thought through it just a couple of little steps, of course, they're all learning experiences. They could have taken off a whole lot more.
Thank you. Ms. Cram?
Good morning. I'm Pamela, and I own Lotus. And I started businesses when I was 30 as a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids. Needed extra money, so I love to paint and do art and crafts and stuff. So I started making my own jewelry. And about in the 80s, well, early 90s, when craft malls were open, I rented a small little rack, and it started there. And I lived in Texas for 10 years, and ended up moving back to California to meet my ex at the time. And California's expensive. So I started doing that, going to craft shows. When I was 40, I opened my own little retail boutique. When I was 50, I opened a bigger boutique and had it for 5 years till I moved back home to Texas. I'm from originally Copper's Cove. So I had to start over. So I've been here about 12 years now. So 12 years ago, I went into esthetician school at 57 and started over and learned. And I had an opportunity to open my own spa. But what I saw in my classes was they had all the little buildings, but nothing that was all in one room. And I thought, what about having stylists, massage therapy, aesthetics, all under one roof so women could come in and have it all done at one time? And it worked. I opened in 2020. 2 weeks later, it closed down. And I asked the Lord, I go, well, I thought I was doing the right thing, but everything worked out, and as soon as we opened, we started getting really busy. And so now we moved into the bigger building, and next year will be my 5th year. And it's been a ride, it's been hard, but it's been very, very rewarding. And I didn't go to college. I had a high school education, 1 year Bible college. But I learned in the time going to craft shows and women and doing the boutique, I learned what business was about. Business relates to hard work, 24/7. And you've got to always keep up with the trends and everything. I did go in 2011, I started looking into aesthetics. And the statistics said that by 2024, and at that time, 2024 sounded really a long ways away, but they said aesthetics would be on the forefront because more women want to go more natural instead of plastic surgery and everything. So I thought, okay, and now it's 2024, and I see that to be true. And it's been a really good journey, and I love this little camp. It's not little anymore. It's been around the last 12 years that I've been here, and that's where I started.
Thank you. Doug?
My name's Doug McGraffy. I own Western Avenue Dogs over on Key. And years ago, I was in the military, and so of course there was no chance for making money whatsoever. Never done that. And then I spent about 8 years in hydraulic and manufacturing engineering. I was going to school, ended up with a master's, and one of my bosses told me, he said, Doug, 2 things you need to remember. He said, to be successful in this. One is imagine yourself as a drop of hydraulic oil, and you can figure out any problem. That really only applies in that industry. It hasn't helped me since then. But the other thing that he told me was, you will never get rich working for anybody else. And I've had a lot of careers where I made some good money. the desk jobs, everything else, and then I ended up transferring and spending 15 years in education. And I got to that point where I had hit 50, and I realized that I had not taken the time to be my own boss. And I decided if I was going to do anything in the last 10 to 15 years before retirement, hopefully, that I was going to have to do it on my own. And so I left education and decided I was going to do something that I had always wanted to do, that was kind of my retirement plan when I hit 60 or more. And that was go back to what I did as a teenager and sell hot dogs. And I figured if I could do this at 15 and 16, I can definitely do it in my 50s. And so I put in the time, I did all the research, everything else, and the hot dog making process hasn't really changed since the 80s, so I was kind of good on that front, not much to learn. But really, it was studying the city. I've been in the area about 30 years. I've got property in Kempner, and it was really just studying the dynamics of line passes and seeing, okay, is there a need for my product? Would it be marketable? And looking at everything that we had and studying about 12 or 13 other restaurants in the area, I decided, I said nobody else is offering this. I have to drive over an hour to do selections like this, and but I also looked and saw that citizens can be harsh on restaurants, or any small business in this area. I've seen some ripped up. I've seen some get away with stuff because of their longevity, and I said, well, I'm a new kid, we'll see how this goes. And it's worked. It's been working. We're hitting 1 year in August, so a couple of weeks we'll have our 1 year anniversary. But it was really just a desire, it's great having the security of a monthly paycheck or such, and not having to worry about, showing up to a job that you already know you're on autopilot, you're getting paid next month, all that stuff is great. But there's still that desire to have some kind of personal self-achievement, and that's what I want. So I said, I'm gonna do the whole running off the cliff thing, and what do they say, run off the cliff and kind of build the airplane on the way down. And that's what I've been doing the last year, and it's been mentally probably the most rewarding year that I've had in employment. I've been working since I was 15, and I've enjoyed this last year more than any of the other occupations I've had. And I think it's because I finally understand my boss. So.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, in 3 minutes or less, can you give us a product history as to your background and how you ended up where you're at?
Ooh, 3 minutes. First, sorry, I'm late, so I own a hot rod shop. It's called Martin Prime Custom. I turned my dad's hobby into a business 22 years ago. I was 21 years old, young and dumb, but learned a lot from failures and accomplishments over 22 years. Sorry, I'm not in the right mindset here. I had a little hustle at the shop to get through it this morning, but we have a team of 12 employees at the moment. Full time, just do hot rods, 1972 and back. We also just opened up a line to do truck accessories and Polaris conversions and stuff like that, just to adapt to the economy. We've done nothing but hot rods before that, just kind of adjusting to what we see the city and the community needs. Is that covered, sir?
Thank you. Starting with Ms. Pamela, what non-negotiable tools or resources did you use when you started your business?
Well, when I started my business, I had people that helped me with drilling made and everything, and you just have to be able to go in, visualize what you're going to do, and do it. first opened my first is it on?
Make sure you're breathing, make sure you're talking to your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, I talk really soft, so the thing that I had was a lot of people that came in and really helped me, get the building situated and stuff. I haven't had a lot of help along the way, I've pretty much done it on my own. And, but when I open up and I have women that wanna come in and we advertise to work, I really make sure that we can work together. And that's a very important, when you're in working, you've got 12 women in one building, you've got to be able to negotiate through all of it, because a lot of things go on in a dynamic. But one thing I do know is that working together, being in unity, and having respect for each other is probably the most important workforce ability to do. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And on my part, I get attached to the girls that I have, so when they get to going like, oh, I gotta retire and move on, and I'm like, great, now what do I do? But it always, somebody always comes in and is starting new or wanting to. And my goal is to help that person get started and learn what it means to be in business for yourself.
Thank you. Mayor Pierce,
Same question.
same question.
Non-negotiable. Number one, I think you need to have your family support right at the top of the list. And, because they're gonna stand by you through thick and thin, and realize the risk that you take. There's no guarantees on this deal. Number two, I think the thing that I would always recommend is a good accountant that you have a good relationship with and feel comfortable with working with them. Another thing, another non-negotiable is a good banker. You need to be able to finance your business, your dreams, pay your bills. Also do your payroll. Those are all huge assets that come into play. And then I think the next one would be an attorney. You should always have a good attorney that can help you walk through things. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is, I don't know everything, but I need that group of people to be able to sit down with and say, hey, I'm doing X, Y, Z, help walk me through this. Am I legal? Is this a viable opportunity? And those are, and also then circle back around to your family. Hey, you know what? This is I think you guys could relate that this is almost a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week job. It doesn't have any office hours. And so those that live around us, including our children, our spouses, they have to suffer or experience the consequences of that. And so those are the most non-negotiable things that I've learned over my years.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, I agree with her on the CPAs, your bankers, everything's about relationship. Have a good, solid relationship with those people, especially mentors. That's one thing I wish I had when I started out, was someone to mentor me, to bounce ideas off of, I'm a visionary, so I'm constantly thinking about the future, wanting, I want this idea, but I'm not necessarily a person that initiates everything and goes through the end with it. So someone that can help you, guide you through the ideas that you have to make it possible to accomplish what you have in your vision too. But I did have a friend, I relate to her, saying when I first started this, I was 22, 21 years old, and he goes, well, do you feel like you can work any 23 hours of the day you want to? and then the other hours to sleep or spend time with your family. So it is a 24-hour-a-day job. You know, being an entrepreneur requires a lot of grit, and not necessarily education. I mean, I had a good high school education, that was it. But I wish I would have known more about taxes and how to do, you know, the actual business day-to-day stuff. And I think mentors would have helped me a lot with that. Just really understanding taxes and, you know, banking and all the things that come onto the fun part of being a self-employed person. So don't let me discourage you. I mean, it's exciting to be self-employed. This, you know, I wouldn't want to do anything else, but there is a lot of grit that is required to accomplish that. And I think, like I said, repeating myself, but mentors is a huge thing to accomplish your goals.
Thank you. Doug?
I think they said it all. It does go along with that, non-negotiables, people that help keep you in check financially. I have a great accountant, and she was a long-term friend, and the minute I hired her as an accountant, she stopped being a friend. She talks to me like I'm a 5-year-old who needs instruction, and I love her for that. Making sure that everything is taken care of, that I don't get myself in trouble, and that I don't lose everything over, you know, not paying the comptroller on time or not declaring something correctly. So having that kind of system in place, same thing. I had contacted business lawyers, made sure that every certificate was done. So many things. I probably worried more than I needed to. In fact, I opened the business a couple of weeks later than I needed to, simply because I was doubting whether I had everything in place, and I didn't want to prematurely open the doors and find out that I was still waiting on, you know, the health department to come or somebody else to do something or send me another certificate. My biggest non-negotiable is quality, having a quality product. There are times that I've had supply issues because in my situation, everything that I have, except for fresh produce, comes out of Chicago. It's coming from 1,000 miles away. And so if there's a supply issue, I don't believe in substitution. I think at one point I tried it with bread for one of our sandwiches, and it's like it's a popular sandwich. I need to keep selling it. I had somebody run to H-E-B and get a similar thing, and after I make 1 or 2 sandwiches, I said, no, we're just going to take it off the menu. Because I didn't want people to have the experience of, well, I went there and it wasn't there. And so for me, it's a quality thing. Is it going to be a quality product every single time it goes across the counter? You live or die by that as a restaurant. I mean, like I said, I did research going a year back, a year prior to my opening, on how, not just Lamp Passes, but Copper Stove, everything, how they commented on restaurants, on the local Facebook pages, what the Yelp reviews were, what the Google reviews were. And I did not want to fall into that category of, oh, worst experience, not worth it, don't waste your time, go down the street or anything like that. And so my thing is I'm either putting a quality product across the counter or I'm not putting any product across the counter. So all those other things, your family support system, you need to have family behind you. You need to have your finances in place. You need to have people that will check you and make sure that you're paying what you need to be paying instead of squirreling the money away. But for me, I want to give people an experience that is exactly like what they would have if they were visiting them.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
What's the question?
The question was, one second, everything's shut down. Sorry.
You're fine. Excuse me, I'm just breathing.
Oh. I thought I had checked everything. we'll just do another one. How have you dealt with the adaptability and flexibility?
So yeah, adaptability, I'm a kind of a niche business. We specialize in just hot rods, restoration in 1909 and 1972. But when we first started out, it was 1909 and 1948 because that's what I loved. And then went to 1963 and then 72, and now we're actually into the 80s. And so my joke is my customers stay the same age and my cars get newer. So, so we had to adapt to what we know. I really knew what we call street rods was 1909 and 1948 cars. I knew it. I grew up with it. That's what my specialty was. And then I had to learn, what the 60s cars were and the 70s cars. And now in the 80s, adapting to fuel injection and, a lot of new technology. It's really, I read a book called Adapt or Die. It was by one of the generals from actually Fort Hood, and how he had to lead his team in the new style of, leadership, a new style of employees, etc. You have to adapt constantly, and that's now what I'm looking at. Okay, in the hot rod industry, it's a candy store, is what it is. So you have to figure out in the low economy times what you can change to adapt with the economy. So what's more needed? If someone's going to still use their Polaris, they're still going to put a grill guard on their truck to protect from deer and stuff like that. So now we're adapting to what the economy can sustain with the way that we're looking at now. I mean, second, I learned a lot in 2008, 2010. Through all that down in the economy that y'all remember, most of y'all do, that you've really got to just sit back and readjust. Sometimes you're just going forward so much that you can't realize what's going on around you. So just pause, breathe, back up, and figure out, okay, what is this? Where do we need to go? Do we take a left-hand turn, right-hand turn, or just widen our path? So adapting to what's going on around you, just pause. Because really, as an entrepreneur, you're constantly thinking about what to do, and how to grow. But sometimes you just need to stop, pause, pray, and see what God has planned for you, really. So.
Thank you. Mayor Pierce?
That's a good question, and I think it's one that you almost have to experience it as you go along. We over the last 40 years, we've been in the lumber business, which is a commodity business, and it always rises. Prices will rise and fall on demand. Nothing ever stays the same. So we're constantly in that process of adapting market conditions. Also, interest rates rise and fall. That also plays a huge mark in what we do with, we're constantly following the housing. How many housing permits are there this month? And so it's just every month you're looking at these benchmarks of commodity pricing, housing, and this and that. We went through, we had built our business up to about $22 million up to about 2007. And I was very, very proud of the business that we had done. We serviced all the way up to the Canadian border, down to the Mexican border, and then over into Las Vegas and this one. Our mill was out on the West Coast. When the housing crisis hit in 2007, got really roaring in 2008, our sales went down to less than $1 million from $22 million. And it was just a the entrepreneur, you have to realize the risk there that you're facing. And a lot of those risks are unknown risks. I mean, we've got, if you've got employees, you've got, workman's comp risk. You've got, transportation risk. You're delivering something. Somebody comes into you, legal risk. There's all of those things that are, I mean, huge, things for us to keep our eye on as we operate our business and we just navigate our business. And I say all this and going through it is probably some of the greatest lessons in my life about myself, and taught me more about myself and how to handle, you know, these wild swings. And I still wouldn't go back and do anything any different.
Thank you. Ms. Pam?
How do you adapt to today? I think we're all trying to adapt. But in my business, it's a customer service business. And that's how I look at it. I also run boutiques, same thing. Women want to come in. My whole goal was after 2020 that they would walk into my salon and have peace because there was so much turmoil going on. And that's still my goal today, that when they come in my doors, that we greet them. And each individual person in my salon owns their own business. So they have their own clientele. And the biggest thing that I push is customer service. That person that walks through the door is the most important person for today. And there is a lot of risk. There's a lot of turnover. I said before, I get attached to my ladies. But I have learned a lot through my journey. And I've probably been in business since I was 30, and probably over 30 years. But I can only talk about skin because I'm an esthetician, and I have learned over the years it's a science, and I love science, and you have to really keep up to what's the newest thing, how to treat certain skin types and stuff. So I'm always learning, but if I don't learn, I get bored, and so I have to have other things, like I opened a boutique in my salon because I love to watch women go in there and find earrings for an outfit or find a new outfit, and they feel wonderful when they leave. And so that makes me happy, and that's what I do. And but it is a constant learning experience owning a business, and it doesn't stop when you go home. And I don't have local family here, but I do have a lot of good people in my life that I have met over the years living here that I can go to any one of them to support them. But it is a constant learning experience when you own your own business.
Thank you. Doug?
Being a mathematician, I take a different approach. When it comes to adapting, my flexibility, it's all reviewing my practices. I go back, I have spreadsheets for every single thing. I'm looking at the numbers, calculating cost of goods, what I'm selling stuff for, how much I sell them on. Some is customer feedback. So over the course of the last year, if a customer's like, man, it would be great if you were open at this time, or it would be great if you had this other item that, you know, would complement the menu, things like that. And so those kind of things I'll look at and say, yeah, we could possibly add this menu item or this thing. You know, and in my case, it's not, you know, we're not talking the millions of dollars or anything. It's like, hey, we're going to throw Frito pie on the menu. You know, it's not life changing. But reviewing what I put forth in my business plan, what I projected when I first opened, and where I'm at on a monthly basis is my thing, as far as like, okay, I need to change this practice, or maybe I need to lower the cost of this a quarter and see if it sells more, or things like that. It's a constant process. If I had stuck with the exact same menu that I opened with, and the exact same prices and everything else, I'd be out of business already. We offered only about half the items we currently have. Like you said, with the market, as much as I'd love to offer a hot dog for $1.35 like I did back in 1989, it's not feasible. It costs more than that just to get, one ingredient. And so, I try to stay flexible with the customers. I've tried things, I've tried doing catering a couple of events, things like that are out of my comfort zone. But really it's just taking a look at your practices, taking a look at what's making you money, where you're losing money, and revising your practices to make sure that you're keeping more of it than you're putting out.
Thank you. Keeping it within adaptability and flexibility. May your peers, can you talk about how you market your business? And if you use online marketing, what techniques do you use?
That's part of that question.
If you use online marketing, what techniques do you use?
We don't use a lot of online marketing. We do have a website that we use. Our business it's a people business. It's a relationship business. And so, yeah, we do very, very little online as far as sales or anything like that.
Get the speaker.
Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah, we do very, very little online. Our business it's more of a relationship type business with what we do. We just don't do any hardly any sales at all that are online.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
My business is really all about the experience. So, they make TV shows about us. So, we do a lot of social media marketing. I wish we did more actually. In creating videos, people are really focused on videos in 1 minute or less. Sometimes they can go longer, but people want to know who you are. They want to know who they're doing business with. They want, like Herb said, his main business is about relationships. So he's out there, shaking hands and experiencing, people out in the market. Our industry has a lot of worldwide industry. We have customers literally all over the world, in England, Scotland, Sweden, and of course all over the United States, from California all the way to Florida. And so we have to market ourselves. We have to sell our personality, our style. In my industry, there's really no competition. That sounds arrogant, but it's the truth that people want to use me because they like my style of car. Just like Lotus, I'm sure she has that same deal. People want to use their service because they love their relationship, they love their personality, they love their style of doing business. So when we market, we make sure it's all about the experience, what we do different than anybody else. Why we are better than anybody else. In our communication is huge. How having kind of deals or specials going on, or if we have a special kind of car that we're just going above and beyond on for a customer, and why. All the way down to who the technician is that's working on their car. The communication line, we communicate every day with our clients. What we did to their car, we send them pictures and just give them a full experience. It has to be almost like a television show. People are so quickly entertained, and the instant gratification with all the phones and stuff like that at our fingertips. They want to know what's going on constantly. So that's the best way to grow your company or to build that relationship, is showing what you do and who you are and why you do what you do, and you're driven and what you're doing next and what's growing and what's going on at Martin Drive Customer, whatever your business is. Look at this new great thing that we do now. So the things that people don't know that you have available in your business, your capabilities, is is pretty detrimental if you have this service available and people don't know about it. So advertising that service of, hey, did you know we did this? You know, just by creating that service and not promoting it is, you know, not going to go anywhere. It's not going to grow. So the social media experience, the websites, that's really key in creating a full experience with anybody to grow a business. So.
Thank you. Deb?
Yeah. As much free advertising as you can get. That's what it is. I spent, when I did my business plan and figured out this should be this much and this should be this much, and you're doing stuff without having, paid one bill yet, I spent my yearly advertising budget probably within the first 2 months of being open. And I've soon realized that constantly buying radio ads, constantly, advertising in the paper, that I don't think I was seeing the return on that I wanted. So like you said, and what we're bringing up, the online, it doesn't cost anything for me on my business page to daily post pictures of our specials. And if you've ever seen it, I try to make some stuff humorous and kind of lighthearted. Maybe some sort of joke hidden in there. But you have pictures of your product, you put it on there, you get a lot of followers. I can't remember how many we're at right now. And those people will promote your business for you. There's times that I put something and then I see that there's 25 shares and that it's on some other local pages and a bunch of people reacted to it who I didn't even know or I didn't even share it to their page. And so Facebook has been a great online marketing tool. There's a few times, and I think I've only spent maybe $200-300 with them where I've done stuff to boost posts or get something out there for an event that we had going on. But other than that, I try to use that tool as much as possible. And I'm not a huge fan of a lot of online stuff, especially, at this point in my life. But within the last couple of weeks, I started using Instagram and posting pictures on there, things like that. If you have customers who like your product, like I said, they will promote it for you. The Facebook, the Instagram, that's not costing me a dime. I'm going to be running stuff in the newspaper. I think I'm running 2 ads in the newspaper because of our 1-year anniversary, and that's running me over $500-600. Hopefully they pay off or they pay for themselves. But take advantage of every free thing there is. I've done a little bit of work with Yelp. They reached out to me. I wasn't looking to promote myself with them. But they contacted me and they said, you're the only restaurant in town with a 5.0 rating. What can we do to bring more people to your business? And I was like, okay, well, I'd like to do this, and that. So I invested some money with them for promotion, and I've seen that pay off. I've had customers come in who are traveling from San Antonio to Fort Worth or wherever, saying, we found you on Yelp, or we found you on Google, whatever it is. So use it. It's so many people every time, especially driving down the road, if somebody's veering in my lane, I look over, they're on their phone. So even while they're driving, they're scrolling, they're on their phone. I taught high school for 15 years. That's all those kids did every time I turned my back. So if you can get yourself on those social media sites and create a presence, create short videos, create, pictures that are colorful and stand out, something that people want to share, they'll do the promotion for you.
Thank you. Ms. Pam?
What I found is it's word of mouth in my business. And when I first started 12 years ago, just renting a room, I didn't really use social media, and I was new to the town. But and it's my business is very personal, one-on-one. So the women or the men that come in, they need to know that anything they tell us will not go further than them, and that we care, sincerely care. But I do use Facebook, and I have a great website, and I go on the website, and online booking is great for a business. It ups your 25%, 30%. because people have gotten busier and busier, and it's hard to make sure that you can coordinate with them. Because in school they tell you, make sure you get a booking in 4 weeks. But what I've learned is you go look at your schedule, get back with me, or go online and book, and they've always booked and rebooked. But it is Facebook in this town, and it is word of mouth. So customer service, I go back to that. They're the most important thing that walks through your doors, is how you treat them and how you respect them and providing a good service.
Can I add to that? I know I've talked too much already, but Google reviews are huge. And we've even put a plaque on our counter for people to do a QR code so they can do a Google review. And then replying back to the Google review is also huge as well. We have a 4.7 rating. We're not perfect, and that's okay. Don't focus on the negative reviews, but do reply back to them and make sure that you communicate with your customer. We get a lot of response of, wow, these guys have great Google reviews, and that's why I'm using you. So that's why I suggest Google reviews. Focus on those a lot.
Thank you. Before we go into the Q&A, we have one more question. If you could go back in time, what is that one thing that you could tell yourself prior to starting a business? And what is that one thing you could share with starting entrepreneurs? Ms. Tam?
One thing, I would have probably liked to have taken some business courses, actually, because I learned everything by experience. And along the way, when I was opening my boutique in California, I went to I would go to the buyer markets and stuff. And I learned a lot by listening and talking, and I had an eye for design, and I knew what women wanted. So, and I would think that the main thing would be is to take a course in business, find the formal things. I've learned it all on my own, so, and other people helping and stuff like that. I do have a good tax person and stuff. But sometimes you just have to jump in. You just have to. Do your research, but then find out what you like to do. What do you offer? What do you want to do? Is mainly the questions. What are you good at? What do you see? What do you see there's a gap in that needs to be opened up? And in town we have a lot of boutiques. We have a lot of more spots coming in. So it's working. But there's always a new niche that somebody has that nobody has thought. So I wouldn't back away, because it is the most fulfilling thing you can do, is be your own boss. My kids grew up going with me to craft shows, and they have trauma from it, of course, My youngest son doesn't like glitter, and my oldest son won't go to a craft show anymore because they went with me. But my daughter would go with me to the shows and buying shows and stuff, and she has an artistic eye and stuff. So things like that, you don't know what you're teaching your kids. And I always tell my kids they have good jobs, they do really well, but I always tell them you need to have something on the side that you can create and make your own money out. Because then when you can do that, you can work as hard as you want and make as much money as you want.
Thank you. Doug?
Better priority of expenses. If I could go back, I started planning this March of last year. And what it was is, like I said, I was a college professor, and the college decided they only wanted adjuncts, that they didn't want anybody full-time. And, that way they didn't have to pay for benefits or anything else. And I had spent years teaching teenagers, adults, everybody, how to plan a budget, how to be responsible, how to figure out, credit card fees, how to finance a car or home. And when it came down to me doing it, I went hog wild. I said, oh, this would look good hanging on the wall here, and this would be great here. No, I need this thing on the sign, or I need this and that. And initially I was thinking like, what would the perfect business look like? And I was less focused on what do I need to do to get the doors open in a week. So prioritizing my initial expenditures would be the thing that I'd go back and slap myself over. We still got it open on time, we still did everything else, but I would have liked to have some of that extra capital on hand, maybe to do some sort of other advertising or some sort of improvement that would have paid off more. And like she said though, if you're, at the same time, aside from criticizing myself if I went back, I'd also say like, man, for as much of a headache this is, it's worth it. A good buddy of mine told me once, he goes, if you find something that you enjoy doing, you're never going to work another day in your life. And I've had very few job experiences like that, and this last year has been one of them.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
One thing I wish I would have done was hired a business coach earlier. It helps you create systems in place. It gives you someone to bounce ideas off of. It helps you direct and focus on what needs to be done. I would also, if you can't, feasibly hire a business coach at the beginning, then at least get a mentor. And I've mentioned that before too, is talk with somebody, build a relationship with people that, done business before, that doesn't have to be in your line of business necessarily. Just someone with the same mindset that can hold you accountable and bounce ideas off of. It really comes down to is, when I hired a business coach, it was a complete change, a whole huge transition in my industry, my company. Once I hired someone to create systems in place and create just different handbooks and making sure we have all the correct policies and insurances and stuff like that. It was really mind-changing when you sit there and realize that he had me write down a list of everything that I did every day. And you then back up and realize that, oh, you're doing the job of 3 people. So then you realize that you need to create a system that you can hire someone to do the jobs you don't like to do. Because really, you're doing what you love, but there's going to be some things you just absolutely hate doing, no matter what you're doing. If it's cooking, or if it's creating a car, or selling lumber, you're going to find something in the business that you're not going to like doing. That you need to hire someone that's smarter than you at that type of work. Because really, everybody here is smart and they're good at what they do, but there's something that you're going to have to hire somebody smarter than you to do that, and then let them do their job. You can't just hire someone smart and tell them what to do all the time. So you've got to hire somebody and let them do what they do and have the freedom to speak and to create ideas and stuff like that. So relationships and mentorship is huge. I would jump in that as soon as possible.
Thank you. Mayor Pierce?
Kind of want to jump off on what Brent's saying, a little different twist. I wish I would have realized early on that there is wisdom in the multitude of counsel.
Amen.
Same thing that Brent was talking about. Sometimes when we're in our 20s and 30s and even beyond that, we think we know it all and got it all figured out. The older you get, you figure, I don't have everything all figured out. So that's probably one of the greatest lessons that I have learned is there is wisdom in the multitude of counsel and the people that you bring on your team. The next thing too is when I think about investment, that the greatest investment that I have made is in the people that I've hired. You can invest in things, equipment, tools, and this and that, but it's still, in our world today, it still is about people. And seeing that those people grow and caring about people. And, over the years, some of the best things that's ever happened to me has been about the people that I'm able to work with, in our own internal team. And don't see people as a commodity. don't see people as just somebody that's in the room, that's their job, but that's, you know what, that's an investment, it's a relationship, and I think about that way with our customers as well too. I've always told, one of the greatest things I've always told our customers over the years, I'm not interested in getting rich on one deal. I'm not interested in getting rich on selling one hot dog. I want to sell for the next 30 years. Wood, hot dogs, cars, all of our stuff. And I think that those have been some of the greatest things that I've learned is counsel and investment in people and just taking care of your customers.
Thank you. We're gonna open it up to Q&A. If you do have a question, please stand up, state your name, and go ahead and ask your question. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm Edith Harrison, and my question is for Grant. You discussed about how you would have liked to have more education in your field. How would the career and technology support that we have in high school offering for our kiddos nowadays, how would that have helped you? Because I don't believe you had it back in your time, but it has grown. And how would that have helped you in some of the things you mentioned regarding the same mindset, a business coach, someone to mentor you in these items?
Yeah, I think that would have been huge. And honestly, a little background history on that. When I was in high school, I wasn't going to be a mechanic. I was going to be a pastor, and so my whole focus was on ministry. And then I actually got a scholarship for UTI to be a mechanic, and I turned it down. But young and dumb, you know. But yes, the career technology department at the high school is amazing. We even hire 2 to 3 high school kids a year through that program to build them as an entrepreneur, to mentor them as well. And some have gone on to create their own businesses now, and some still work for me. So yes, investing in that high school career or that career in technology is huge right now. So I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly or not, but yes, I wish I would have had that available to me, and so that's why I'm investing in that as much as I can. And so look into that too as potential team members for your company as well, is to, you know, talk to, what's her name? I want to call her Miss Carol, but that's not her name anymore. It's Haviland. Talk to Miss Haviland and Liz Haviland, yes, Mrs., right? But yeah, go talk to her and really get invested in that, and see if there's kids out there that can help you with your business as well. You know, they don't have to be paid even, as long as they're getting an education in what you're doing and growing them. Paying them is a bonus to them. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, and can I add to that?
Please.
My son was a part of that program in high school, and your family, you and your brothers, working with the career and technology, he found his niche, and he's 23, and he's making more than he did, I think, you know?
Yeah.
Doing repairing cars and so forth, and loves it.
Absolutely.
No, I'm not going to college long, there's nothing you can make me go, and I just need that you know that, but I
Thank
think,
you.
you know, he'll be fine, and he
This
is fine.
Generation Z, we're going to call them, they're very creative. They want to work with their hands. They want to do things. They want to be able to step back and say, wow, I did that. You know, so college was not for me. I did not go to college, and so I see that in these kids, that they don't want to sit behind a desk all day and learn more. They want to be able to do and create. These kids taking selfies of themselves, we harass them, but that's your photographers of the world. You know, the kids that are, you know, doodling in class and creating artwork to learn. That's your artists and your, you know, HVAC guys that are got to be engineers and line out where, you know, wires go through in the electrical industry, and, you know, the plumbing and all that. It seems like a hard job, but it's a great job that you can sit back and say, wow, I created plumbing for this person that had fresh water and stuff like that. And that's what these kids are looking for. They're looking for a place in this world that they want to feel like they're needed. So yes, the school is doing a great job at that and creating that availability, and I love every bit of that.
Thank you. Do we have another question? Well, thank you for being here and answering our questions. We do have Mr. Greg from the Texas Veterans Commission Entrepreneurial Department coming up and speaking to us in regards to veteran entrepreneurship. Thank you to our panel members. If you would like to stick around, please do so. We do have a resource networking going downstairs, and we are going to have time for our great networking. Greg?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg. I'm with the Texas Veterans Commission. This is Lady. Anybody okay with her kind of rolling around? She's my service dog, but she's everyone's therapy dog. So basically what we're going to talk about today real quick is veteran-owned businesses. We have veterans here? Anybody know veterans? Yeah. So what we do at the Texas Veterans Commission, we have 8 different programs that touch on all aspects of veteran life in Texas. I just happen to be part of the Entrepreneurial program. So we do one-on-one business consulting with veterans and their family members, from startup through exit and everything in between. What that means is from conception, a lot of people will just call us something, but hey, I woke up this morning, I had an idea, what do I do now? And we'll start from there. Others will come in and say, I thought I was going to have a legacy business and pass that business on to my children. Come to find out, they want the money, they don't want the business. What do I do now? And we do everything else in between as well. So, real quick, this is us. And she's just going to kind of hang out. We hit that. What we're going to talk about is the different certifications and verifications that are available to veteran-owned businesses. So as you see some of the things up here, that's okay. The SBA has theirs. Just remember, if you see SBA, we're talking about the federal government now. We have the Texas Hub. The Hub is the historically underutilized business. Now we're talking about the state, local government level. And then we have our verification, our veteran-owned business verification on the bottom there. That's for marketing and promotional purposes. For a lot of our businesses who don't want to get into government contracting, we have a lot of food truck owners, we have a lot of lawn service people, things like that, who are not really looking at government contracting, but still want to be recognized as a veteran-owned business. Okay. One more time, there we go. So, as I mentioned, the Small Business Administration, what we're talking about is the federal level here, they have 2 different types of certifications. They have a Veteran-Owned Small Business, VOSB. That certification is recognized by the VA for VA contracts. Okay? The other one that they have is the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business. The fun thing about the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business certification is you can have a 0 rating from the VA and still be considered service disabled for the purposes of this certification. Okay? This certification here is recognized not only at the VA, but across the federal government. So 2 really clear distinctions there. The veteran-owned small business recognized by the VA, the service disabled veteran-owned small business recognized by the VA and the federal government. Okay, if we go back, can you go back one? The VOSB for the VA, their set aside contracts, at least 7% of their contracts has to go through the VOSB. Go forward one. With the SDVOSB, at least 3% of all federal government contracts. Okay. So there's a real advantage there to get into federal contracting, right, as a veteran. What you have to remember though, is if you're looking at federal contracting, most contracting officers are looking for at least 2 years of past performance on the local government level first. Right? They want to know that you can perform government contracts at the local level before you start looking at the big federal DA level. Okay? The processing right now, this certification was run by the VA for years and years and years. 2023, they went from the VA and moved it over to the Small Business Administration, to the SBA. The processing time is about 3 months. Okay? Remember, there's over $500 billion up for grabs on the federal level. Okay? You might as well get yourself done. All right? One more time. Here's the hiccup. Not really a hiccup, but this is what's happening right now. Come August 1st, they're going to revamp the system. Okay? So initial applications will not be accepted during the upgrade, but if you get your application in prior to the 1st, they will continue to process it during the upgrade portion. The upgrade is expected to last about a month or so. So it should be back up and running by mid-late September. There's a lot that goes into it, so don't try to rush into it. If it's something that you want to look into, but you're not quite ready, do the research first on all of the different types of documentation that you'll have to submit in order to get the certification. Now we're moving down, we're going into the local state government level now, state, county, school districts, things like that. The historically underutilized business certification, which is administered by the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. Okay? So now on this one, for the state government level, we have over $2 billion out there up for grabs. You might as well be part of that. Okay? Remember I mentioned with the SDVOSD or the SBA, it could be 0%. The requirement to be, there's 3 categories for the hub. There's women-owned, there's minority-owned, and there's service-disabled owned, but you have to be at least 20% rated or not by the VA. Okay? So if you can fit into the minority category, fantastic. The women category, fantastic. Or the service-disabled, you can only pick one of those categories. Okay? I happen to fit into 2 of the categories, the minority and the service-disabled portion. However, my business is under my spouse, so we're women-owned. Basically, you look at 51% or more of ownership, okay? And control. Control is the tricky part. Control means you're in charge of daily operations. You're the highest paid. You hold the highest title. You're the one that signs the contracts. You're the one that signs the paycheck. Okay? The reason that we did this, and we're women-owned, is because women-owned businesses seem to get a lot of state government contracts. So really kind of think about this. If you can fit into all 3 categories, which one should I use? Women-owned on top, minority owns next, service-disabled is after that. This is the hub. The other ones have numbers attached to them, right? VOSD, 7% or 3%. This is a good faith effort. What this means is the state agencies, the local government agencies are encouraged to work with hubs. They don't have to. Okay? But most every agency has a hub coordinator, but you gotta really think about when you're doing these things, be it the federal level or the state level or the county level, is do your prospecting. What I mean by prospecting is figure out which agencies you want to work with based upon the contracts that they give out, and that's all public information. Figure out who that agency's contracting officer is. Build a relationship with that contracting officer. Okay? You know as well as I do, personal and business is all built on relationships. So if all they have is a piece of paper that goes past their desk, when a contract comes down, are they gonna remember that? But if you build a relationship with them and they know what it is, what kind of products or services you offer, you're more likely to get a contract. You have to remember, contracting officers, anytime they sign off on giving a contract to someone, they're putting their reputation on the line. That you will perform. That's why you really need to convince them that you can perform. One of the biggest things part of that performance is having financial resources to do the contract. Because you probably won't be paid for the first 90 days after the contract is already started. So you have to have the resources, the manpower, the labor, the equipment, the inventory to make that happen prior to your first payment. And that's where a lot of small businesses get caught. They're like, I can do all of this, but I don't have the financial resources. Build that first. Make sure that you are ready to be a government contractor, regardless of the level that you're on. Okay? Also know at times, contracts can be pulled from under you. What I mean by that is I had a federal government contract with the US Navy and the Marine Corps. I was in Germany and my contract was pulled. So we worked this contract for 3.5 years. It used to be a 4-year with a 1-year extension. 3.5 years in, my contract was pulled. I have people out there in Germany going, what do I do now? How do I get this? So you have the resources to take care of your people and bring them back. Okay? Because there's no guarantee. There was no fault of our own that it was pulled. Congress just said, we're not funding this program anymore. We were doing human capital, performance management, coordinating, and moving. We were basically revamping the performance personnel system when we were doing that. So make sure you have the resources available to do that. Texas Hub certification, look at the processing time. New applications are taking 5 months to process. Okay. Why? We have so many people trying to get into being Hub certified. If you're looking for a recertification, that'll take 4 months. So if you're already Hub certified and you want to make sure that you continue, you have to still meet all of the requirements of the Hub certification, but make sure that you're within that 4-month timeline if you're already certified and you want to continue. If not, it's a 5-month portion right now. Something to keep in mind when you're looking at contracts, especially applying for these certifications, you have to respond quickly. Keep an eye on your email, especially your junk mail, because we've seen a lot of times when you get an email from the government, it goes directly to your junk mail. Keep an eye on that portion. Okay. You need to answer the questions, any discrepancies, they'll give you like 72 hours to respond. If you take more than 72 hours, they may make you start the process all over again. Okay. So really keep up on it. Both of the certification applications for the SBA and for the comptroller, the hub, are all online. So you put all your information there, you hope you got everything. At times we don't have everything, you can go to give us a checklist. Okay. So make sure that you stay on top of it and you respond accordingly. These are some of the things that they're going to be requesting from you. General things, your VA letter, your DD-214, the VA letter to see what your disability rating is. Your DD-214, make sure you do it on every display. Your birth certificate, driver's license, just your regular thing that any business would have is probably what they're going to be asking for. This is a short list of what they're asking for that you have to provide. And a continuation of that short list of things that you have to provide. The past contract is really, really important. Okay, especially on your capability statements, when you start looking at government contracting. Capability statements, if you're not familiar with them, it's like a 1-page resume of your business. Right? It shows the NICS codes that you're working in, if you're federal government. It shows the NIGP codes if you are going for state government. So at the very least, you should have 2 capability statements. if you're working on both levels of government. One for the federal, because they look at the NICS codes and NIC codes. State government looks at the NIGP codes. They don't match. Can't make things easy for everybody, right? The different levels of government are requiring different types of documentation. Okay. On that one-page resume, the capability statement, basically tell the contracting officer who you are, what you do, what products and services have been provided, what are your certifications, what is your past performance, what other contracts have you already completed. Okay? If you don't have any past performance on the government contracting level, you can still add other things that you have performed before. And then as you start building that contracting performance, you kind of add that in and switch that. Okay? So this is one way of letting the contracting officer know who you are as you build that relationship. So anytime you walk up to the contracting officer, have that capability statement with them so that you can read the people. And then follow up with them. Don't just follow up with them when they have contract and open. Follow up with them all the time. How you doing? What's going on? You gotta kind of keep fresh in the mind. There are third-party certifiers out there. The SBA certifications are free. The Hub certification is free. There's third-party certifiers out there who may or may not be free depending on where you're located or the industry that you're in. There's the Veteran Business Enterprise, there's the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise. There's all of these different types of logos that are out there. If you go on the internet and type them up, you can see all of them, right? But do they carry why? Are you paying for something that you have to pay for something that you need? When you're looking at third-party certifiers, look at the agency first. Look at the business first. And I'll give you an example. Look at HEB. If you want to work with HEB and be a supplier, they have certification that they recognize. They don't recognize Hub. They don't recognize SBA. Okay? Okay, do. This is what they recognize for veterans. Google will recognize another agency. Microsoft will recognize another agency. Okay. So when you're looking at third-party certifiers, and third-party certifiers are mostly for private industry contracts. Research that business first, see which certifications you may or may not need, and then is it worth you purchasing that certification? That certification is basically based on annual revenue. The more you make, the more that certification will cost. You may have to pay an initial certification fee. You may have to pay the membership fee. You may have to pay membership dues. And their annual certifications every year, you'll have to pay for that as well. So really make sure it makes sense for you to go out and get these third-party certifiers. Because if you went out and you paid for these 1 year, and they went for a government contract, they would say, we don't recognize this. We recognize the SBA, we recognize Texas Consul, not the third-party certifiers. Some businesses are transitioning out and are trying to recognize that. There's a push that's coming up in this next legislative session, just a few months here. There's a push that if you're SBA certified, we want the Texas Hub to be automatically part of that. So that you don't have to go all over the place and you don't have to. Will it pass? I don't know, but there's a push that we're trying to do right now. Okay. Again, this is the hub. If you want to get into HEB and you want to provide products and services for products in your HEBs, you want to be part of this supply diversity. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. one of the easiest ways for veterans to get into and be an HEB supplier. This is the supply diversity program. They put on, at the very least, quarterly orientations for you to become a supplier. This is our verification. Those others are certifications. We have a verification here. Right? It's the veteran-owned business logo that was created by the Texas Veterans Commission. Again, strictly for marketing and promotional purposes. It's really easy to get. Are you 51% veteran-owned? Yep. Are you operating in Texas? Yep. Management and control? Yep. Here you go. What we'll do is we'll give you the electronic file that you can put on your website, on your marketing material. As I was driving up from Austin today, I passed the firearms range. And a big banner was on the side of the bar with the logo. With the logo on there, the advertising their business. There's a person in a delivery service in Houston who used the logo to wrap his delivery vans, so everybody knows. Most people just put it on their business card, right? Or on their website, and things like that. If you have a storefront, we also have some decals that we can share with you. Sticking on your storefront, a lot of people will just put it on their laptops here or something like that. So this is what we have available. These are free as well. Again, this is a verification, marketing, and promotional purposes. That wraps it up for me, unless anyone has any questions for me at all. Go ahead, sir.
So I've been in business about 3 years, trying to figure out more financing grants.
I'm
So
sorry?
that I'm trying to figure out grants,
Okay.
possibly so I can grow my business.
Grants are tough. Grants are for-profit businesses. They're rare and kind of far and in between. Most of them are done via like a competition. The biggest veteran competition in the nation is at Rice University in Houston. That's the big one that happens every year. You apply for that in the fall, and the Rice Veterans Business Battle happens in the spring.
Where is that?
Rice University in Houston. There, if you are familiar with Hello Alice? Does that website sound familiar to anyone? Hello Alice. For those who are, they have all the grants there, don't they? Any type of grants that are coming up are basically on Hello Alice. Jump on that website. Okay. There's grants.gov as well. If you're looking for that portion, so grants.gov is another grant repository, if you would. A lot of the grants are basically for nonprofits. Yeah. The Texas Veterans Commission does have a grant program under the Fund for Veteran Assistance. These grants are for nonprofits and government agencies who give direct service to veterans. So that the last one?
Yeah.
So the Texas Veterans Commission has the Funds for Veterans Assistance. The Fund for Veterans Assistance, FVA, is basically what they do. Again, nonprofit agencies, right, or government agencies that give direct service to veterans. So there's a lot of people who do transportation, a lot of mental health services, equine services, and things like that.
What was that website?
The one before that?
Funds for Veterans?
Yeah, the Texas Veterans Commission. If you jump on our Texas Veterans Commission website, it's tbc.texas.gov. So it's Tango Victor Charlie.texas.gov. They'll have 8 tabs on there for 8 of our different programs. One of the programs will say grants. If you want to get in touch with us, there's a tab that says Entrepreneur. Try to make it really, really easy. Just jump on there, basically you put in your information. The information comes to us, and then we get back with you. Remember, there's grant cycles. So if there's a certain grant that you're looking for that is not open at this time, which if you were me, I would jump on the website, I would subscribe to their newsletter, so that you're advised when the grant cycles come up and open. One of the best grants if you're a women-owned business or a women's veteran-owned business is from Texas Women's University. And Christina is downstairs at the Texas Women's University booth that can tell you about your grant program. They have two grants. Women-owned, one grant. Women veteran-owned is the other grant. If you're interested in any of the Texas Veterans Commission programs that we have, or departments that we have, we're downstairs, we got some information that we can share with you. Be more than happy. Yes, ma'am.
So can you share some of the solicitations that are available? Can you share the type of solicitations that are available for those that might be going out for some jobs?
For grants?
No, not for grants, like the jobs. So we get certified, we want to go out for solicitations. What type of jobs are out there?
Basically, anything that you can even think of that government uses. Paper products, pens, swag. Right now, one of the biggest things is if you're looking at the local government, the Texas Facilities Commission, which handles all of the state government buildings. They're looking for people to haul because of all the construction that's going on. So basically, like I said, do some government contracting prospect. For example, what you're good at, what do you do, which agency is the one that, the best one, instead of taking a buckshot approach and just hitting all the agencies, who is it, what agency, what kind of contracts do they have, who's the contracting officer? Past contracts are all public information. You can look at who won the other contracts before, how much the contract was valued at, and what they performed. So it takes a little bit of time to do the research. One of the easiest things is if you're going to be HUB certified, and historically underutilized business, is they have what's called the Centralized Master Bidders List, CMBL. Now the CMBL will cost you $70 a year, but it'll save you in time and effort. Because if you put in your NIGP codes, and you put in what you do, whenever there's a contract that comes up on the CMBL, you will be notified through your email instead of you just looking at all the agencies to try to figure out what the contracts are for. So part of that hub application, we're going to ask you, do you want to purchase the CMBL, the centralized master business? $70 a year, so you won't plan a time limit. Not too bad. Anybody else? We good? I am so sorry again, I apologize. But thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate it. If you need anything from us, if you're a veteran, if you know a veteran that needs some help, please let us know at the Texas Veterans Commission. We're probably one of the best kept secrets. We've been around for 95 plus years and still no one knows us. Everyone thinks we're going to be it. We're not going to be it. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Before you head out, we would like to show our token of appreciation to our panel members and to our Texas Veterans Commission counterpart for their assistance in supporting our Central Texas Entrepreneurial Summit. So, for exceptional dedication and support in assisting with the Central Texas Entrepreneurial Summit, through meticulous planning, coordination, and networking, our team has ensured the success of this critical event, providing a forum for open communication, building meaningful partnerships, and fostering a sense of community. Their commitment to excellence and unwavering professionalism have greatly contributed to the success of the Central Texas community. So we'd like to ask Mr. Herb Pierce, Mayor Herb Pierce. Mr. Brad Martin.
Appreciate it. We'll get you all up here. Thanks.
Ms. Pamela.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mr. Douglas.
Thank you so much.
And Greg, with the Texas Veterans Commission. Yes.
Here we go.
We can ask all our panel members, and Greg, we can take a group picture of mine.
I know, but she must be your.
Dr. Lee?
I'm gonna go ahead and get it all in the picture.
I'm gonna do the four.
Oh, we have time.
I'd like to invite all our panel members so we can take a group picture.
Great. Have we got that? Or any of the honor rolls or anything?
Perfect.
All right, if we could squeeze in a little, Greg, could you go to the other side?
Don't want to get lost back here.
Especially in red.
Can you see Melissa? She's in the back.
All right, here we go, 3, 2, 1. All right, and big smile, 3, 2, a real smile. 3, 2, 1.